I didn't feel like I was walking into a building. I felt like I was walking into a home.
The people, just how warm and welcoming everybody was, it was a great atmosphere.
It was like putting on a pair of shoes that you'd had on your whole life.
It was extraordinarily refreshing to us.
I had to laugh because I was so dressed up and everybody was so casual.
Getting the shirts too, the cool shirts. So
there's nothing like any church I'd ever been to.
the church for people who don't go to church.
The thing is, when we first started Graystone Church, we were young and no one knew anything about us. We really had nothing to lose.
I feel like we always knew that God was leading us to start a church. We just didn't know when or where.
You know, one thing led to another, and Graystone was where God had called us.
I just remember having a bunch of people over at my parents' house.
You know, the parents were meeting down in the living room, and Joan's room was the children's ministry.
All the kids just hung out upstairs and we played Super Smash Bros. And Mario Kart.
After they moved out of Jennifer and Jonathan's tiny little house.
20 years ago, starting a church was kind of a little bit crazy and odd and strange, much less in a daycare. I think I was thinking, like, what in the world did we get ourselves into?
He asked me to be the student pastor at a church that just started with 0 students.
You know, show up early and kind of build the church, and then we kind of, you know, do our little church service. And then after church, tear it all down, have to load up the trailer. And then we all went to lunch together, so. And Jonathan said, man, someday we're going to have like 100, 150 people here. Can you even believe it? And I looked straight at him and said, well, who's going to preach?
They didn't have air conditioning in a little spot. They had this roll-up door behind us, and it was hot as all get out. And I remember trying to think, how are we going to find Jesus when I can't even find the air conditioner?
I remember looking at it the first time, and like, I know I said, we will never grow to more than 200 people in this warehouse. Boy, was I wrong.
I was excited. We met in the warehouse, and I knew it was going to take off and it was going to soar.
We had the all-in campaign, and we just asked everybody to go all in, and we ended up having over $500,000 come in.
And we all wrote prayers on these stakes, and then we staked what the building was going to be like.
We moved into the building, and still to this day, every time I drive by the Loganville campus, I'm just in awe at what God did.
We outgrew this building, and so we had a decision to make. We're going to build a bigger auditorium here, but our thought was to go multi-site, and so we started the Monroe campus. We sent 100 people from the Monroe campus to start the Oconee campus. And a lot of our close friends, a lot of people who were the original Graystone members have moved to Oconee. And they are a huge part of the Oconee campus. I would say that's our God story. That's really the crazy God story. We were just regular, ordinary people making sacrifices.
When I think about Graystone Church, I think about family.
Seeing how the church rallied and stood with us and supported us.
We are at our physical lowest. Graystone rallies around us.
Stepped up to help us in our time of need in so many ways.
When Stephen got sick and everybody rallied around us, we really felt the love from the church.
We were gone for 6 years, came back feeling like we weren't going to be welcomed, and boy, were we wrong. I still describe it as the greatest Sunday of my life.
Yes.
You know, have that community, have people to laugh with, cry with, pour into.
And these people are our foxhole friends, and we've met them in all 3 campuses.
He formed relationships, best friendships, but also people that are now multiplying their lives.
Discovering who I am and my purpose in God.
I think Graystone just opened up a lot of doors for me when it comes to who I'm supposed to be.
Our marriage would not be where it is without Graystone. Our kid would not be where he is without Graystone.
Our lives, our marriage, our kids, we would not be who we are without Graystone Church.
Jacob and I met here and built our relationship and have been married almost 3 years now.
We feel welcomed, we feel loved, we feel cared for.
We've all come to know Christ and grown together closer as a family.
Jason and I were both baptized here. We were married at Graystone.
Jonathan baptized 3 generations, and it was my husband, my daughter, and my granddaughter.
All 3 of our kids became Christians here. Our daughter's wedding reception was here. Our son works with us.
It's one of the coolest, biggest blessings, privileges of my life to work with my parents.
Our baby Jesse is loving students.
When it's over, I never want to go home. I never want to leave. When there's the bounce houses and all the things, my kids just run around like crazy people and have the time of their lives.
The culture has just completely shifted.
You can just feel Jesus in the room.
Kids enjoy the kids' ministry, don't you, girls?
Yeah. I've seen her lead her friends to Jesus.
My kids love coming to church.
It's like a little teaspoon of heaven.
We love God and we love learning about His way, but we also like to have a lot of fun too and just like go crazy. So
Like all of the sports camps, the fall retreats, the student ministry, just seeing like the passion in the kids.
Sports camp with the kids where Pastor Jay got slimed.
Holding up a sign with all the numbers of how many compassion kids we were sponsoring, and I gave Pastor Jay a chest bump.
It was going to be unusual. They were going to drop Easter eggs out of helicopters.
So he rented a limo that picked up the entire softball team, and we just all showed up to church in the limo.
I remember one Sunday, they rolled a casket down the aisle. It was so crazy.
We've given away chainsaws. We've given away 4-wheelers on Father's Day. You know, a lot of opening songs might be a secular song.
They played, Bon Jovi the first time I was here.
And Wayne leans over and says, I don't know what kind of church you brought me to, but we're coming back next week.
Yeah, I let somebody shoot me in the chest with a paintball or getting tackled by Robert Kimdichie. I remember being a kid not wanting to go to church because it was just so boring. So we wanted to create a church to reach people who wouldn't go to the normal church.
To find any kind of creative, fun way to bring people in.
And we're excited about all that God did in the last 20 years, but I'm super excited about the next 20 years.
Me too.
And it's like we're just getting started. And I truly believe the best is yet to come. What the vision that God has put on my heart is huge. And if it's going to happen, it's going to take a huge step of faith. And just as we saw God move when the Field of Dreams offering or the Imaginative Possibilities offering or the All In, like, He's going to have to do it again. And I'm excited about leading our church to take a huge step of faith and trust God to do what only He can do. To build a church that is going to last for 150 years. Like, we want to build a church, not just for us, not just for our kids, but for our grandkids and the generations to come.